Ouachita One Table. Ouachita One Table podcast is a deeper discussion of issues facing our business communities. Over this series, we'll invite community leaders in businesses, the arts, nonprofits, culture, and government as we discuss the issues that strike at the heart of the Chamber's mission for the greater good of our parish. Topics such as workforce development, education, quality of life, economic development, and more. Ouachita One Table. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Productions in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center. Now, here are your hosts, Roy Heatherly and Christopher Kelly.
Hello and welcome back to Ouachita One Table. I'm Roy Heatherly, President and CEO of the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined today with my good friend
Chris Kelly with the West Monroe West Ouachita Chamber, and we are honored to have Mayor Friday Ellis with us today.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great that he took time to come join us? So thank you, Mayor, for being here.
Anything for you guys. You guys call me, I'm coming running. So it's been wonderful to work with you guys, and y'all's enthusiasm and your love for our area is just infectious, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, Mayor, vice versa. You go in every single day and you carry the banner and the mantle and everything forward for Monroe, West Monroe, and the entire region, really. You talk about it all the time. But you've had a great, and we're sitting here at Louisiana Catalyst, which is a entrepreneur center that is just opening up with Quentin Durr, and you've had a great entrepreneurial journey. Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit how you got to be Mayor of the city of Monroe?
Lots of prayer and petition. I can tell. So yes, small business owner, United States Marine Corps veteran, owned a small business brick and mortar retail cigar shop in the Garden District, and just when the community called, same way when service called to serve my country, I just felt the need that we needed a new direction, a new vision for the city. And so we stepped up and we served, same way my wife made the decision to run for office, and we're both now elected officials and we're serving together. But, it's really just stepped out on faith and just from confidence from our friends that they'd like to see us do that.
Well, I've not seen a couple that's more passionate about what they do and what they believe. And you guys are out there, you take it from all sides, but you just keep plying for them. You got that smile, you got that energy and everything like that. So talk to us a little bit about, because I've heard you always say one of the biggest challenges our community has is apathy. And you mentioned how Chris and I love this community, but talk about apathy a little bit if you would.
Well, guys, I don't think that it's just unique to Monroe. I think as I travel the state and as I travel other states and I talk with their residents, I think there was this belief that existed that this is the best that we'll ever be and our best times were behind us. And I just didn't believe that. As a small business owner, we saw the Flying Tigers of the world, the Parish Restaurants of the world, the Janusas, all the people who really create this beautiful thing called Monroe that we all love. We knew that there was so much potential here, just untapped potential. I knew that our community just felt like that we have kind of been asleep at the wheel, and I'm so proud that they agreed with me and put me in this position to lead the city forward with new initiatives, a new vision. And so here we are today, and it's been a whirlwind year and 9 months. In office. Mother Nature has not been kind to us. So there were those few setbacks. But outside of that, there are some wonderful projects that we're moving forward, dirt turning on a few right now that we're excited for in the future.
So you just said vision. So let's take a moment and think about your vision. So you came in from an administration that had a pretty long run. Yeah. So lots of things had kind of settled into place.
Yes.
So let's talk about your first year. Let's talk about that vision and maybe celebrate a few triumphs that might not be so conspicuous to people.
Yeah. Well, I always said Monroe was a vibrant, historic riverfront community, and that we had two tremendous assets sitting right beside each other was our historic downtown and our riverfront. And so as we went around the community, we've all kind of scratched our head and all wondered why we haven't develop that riverfront. And so one of the things I'm very proud of is the beginning phases of the downtown master plan, to really lay the groundwork about assessing our properties, recognizing whether there's natural clustering in different businesses, really looking at pedestrian experience, parking, the way people commute to downtown, and eventually what this will do once we wrap this downtown master plan up is to provide us the framework and the roadmap on key projects going to help bolster it. The other one is the relationship with DEDD. They have a TIF right now that they're getting ready to bond some money out on burying power lines.
So let's pause for a second. Let's explain what that is.
Yeah.
Let's
so
define that.
DEDD is the Downtown Economic Development District.
Okay.
They were given a TIF at the beginning of the year, which kind of earmarks dollars for capital projects for the city that through sales tax revenue and property tax revenue. So it's a bucket of money that they can go to help do things like bury power lines, beautify areas. And what we've chosen to do is another thing I'm very proud of is they're going to invest in the marina project, which we finished up the engineering on that, and it's gonna take on a life of its own in a sense. There may be one that falls behind the candy company, and there may be one that falls behind the river market, or you might see a version of 1-in-1. So you might have split those up, so you'll have different entry points into the city. And the last thing I'll go really quick is the purchase of the Ouachita Candy Company.
Yeah.
Those historic buildings and that riverfront and the repair them rights all the way from the warehouse restaurant all the way to Miro's.
Yeah.
We wanted to be able to protect public access to our waterfront, right? So it belonged to everybody. And we purchased 4 historic buildings that's where the Delta Airlines deal was struck and where Coke was first mass bottled. Lots of great memories there along our riverfront. That will be a mixed-use development with retail on the bottom. It will have housing up top. We're going to go up an extra floor. And so, and eventually we would like to see at the property next to us a extended stay hotel along the riverfront.
And so, Mayor, I know it was critical to you that riverfront remained open to the public.
Yep.
2 other points to that, though. One, explain why downtown is so critical to the entire region, and then talk about how you worked with our city council. It was a unanimous vote twice to get for the city to purchase that, but why, beyond just the known benefits, but why the districts will benefit from this purchase. It was really a great move.
Yeah, well, I know that, we talked about the apathy piece.
Right.
And we've built so many false lines that divide us in the city. Louisville, that divides North and South Monroe. The river, which divides West Monroe and Monroe. When we should start looking at these things as something that unites us.
Sure.
The other beauty of downtown is it directly connects our downtowns from Monroe to West Monroe. It connects District 4 to District 2 and District 1 to District 5, and it is a centralized hub and a concentrated hub where culture can grow. The downtown gallery crawls are held there. We have lots of positive development coming up from Michael and Christy Eccles and Eddie Haycom and all the other people who've invested down there. So while there's so much momentum going right now, it's time to just start pushing. When the rock's rolling, you start pushing. But when you ask the question how this deal will get structured, right now that we hired Ray Manning Architect, which is a world-renowned architect. I promised you I would bring you the best talent to Monroe because we deserve the best talent to coincide with our downtown master plan, which again, you've got Campo and Associates, which are world-renowned architects that are working on that as well. How this will benefit everybody: increased tax base, but we specifically divided this deal into 2 buckets. So the long-term land lease and the sales taxes on this project will be split into 2 buckets. One bucket will go to continue to help support pay raises for our employees for the city of Monroe. The second bucket will be divided 5 different ways, and it will go directly into each council district to be driven by their council members to look for community projects to help, felt needs.
So downtown is acting as a hub
Yes.
for the entire region.
Yes.
One of the things that I love is we have a friend, John Stubbs, from Tulane, that talks about historic preservation because that's his bread and butter. And what the thing that resonates with me always is he says, in so many cases, you have gems preserved in poverty, which he means is you know, we had nobody screw it up in the 70s and 80s and turn it into something. So just recently you had a community meeting kicking off, right, this downtown master planning phase, and you had it in a historic building that has some of that historic integrity left. So let's reflect on that just for a moment, that meeting and how it's important to get community buy-in in that process.
Yeah, you know, we knew from this project that it needed to reflect our community.
Sure.
And so the first thing we did was we opened up a community survey. So you had coasters that were at bars and restaurants. You had big wall installations that were all around downtown. Went into barbershops, into boutiques, and coffee shops and tea shops, and had all these things for community feedback. Advertised in the paper, went all around to get a QR code to talk about, you know, what are our greatest assets, what are our biggest challenges. And so we use community feedback from the downtown survey to help drive the RFP process for the candy company to talk about. That's valuable data for folks who want to invest and build something there. But it was important to us, and it is important to us, that we get community feedback in this process. So I don't know which camera, but either one of you right now, we need your input. We really do, because we don't want to go at this alone. We want your feedback. We want you to have a say in what the future of downtown brings. Eventually, what this is going to do, when we talk about vision, ultimately, I would like to see from Ochsner all the way to downtown.
Including the zoo.
Yeah.
All of it. The zoo, that whole corridor around South Grand. From Forsyth Park all the way to downtown, and from downtown to the university. And then when you start creating that T, as I call it, that spine, you can be able to start connecting your neighborhoods to downtown through walking and biking and hiking paths to create ways that every community has access to downtown. And downtown, hopefully, we'll start seeing to be the hub of art and culture. We'll start seeing it to be the hub of small business. Before I get off of this, I want to tell you, as a small business owner, this is where as a small business owner, this is where that, I guess, experience comes in. What we want to do in this RFP for the candy company along the riverfront is we want to provide opportunities for businesses to scale, where the entry point to do business is affordable for every small business. Even when it comes to the housing downtown, we are going to ensure that we have controlled rate and market rate apartments, so that downtown living can belong to everyone, that doing business downtown can belong to everyone, and to have that centralized hub where people meet, create, to be able to build relationships over commonalities, whether it's art, music, food, a festival, whatever those may be, that we can be able to provide a space that our community gathers.
That's awesome. That's talk about vision and high goals.
Yeah, but you know, I'm going to tell you this. You know, I don't think that anything is unachievable. Dream big, and it'll manifest. You find the people you surround yourself with. I always say willing participants, right? Because I could tell you, I don't concern myself with people who say it can't happen. Right? You didn't elect a politician, you elected somebody to get a job done. And if you don't want to see it happen, then I don't know if I need your help. But I honestly, because we have a short window, and it's for, as I say, my job is hear me now, believe me later. We're going to make it happen. It's going to get done. And then, you know, we'll circle the wagons back around and pick you up. And then we'll go hang out at the candy company and downtown.
You just said willing participants, and you have got some amazing staff, Roy.
Absolutely, you do. We've got Kelsey McCreary coming up.
And she's all right.
She's all right.
Yeah, she's all right. but she's great.
She's the chief, I want to make sure I get it right, Chief Economic Development and Cultural Officer for the City of Monroe.
Chief Economic and Cultural Developer for the City of Monroe. That's something else, you know, when we typically think of an economic developer for the city, we think of a retired banker, business person, this, that, and the other. One thing that I saw in Kelsey was she is very just artistic. She's very driven. She has a great way to connect the pieces to arts, culture, history. She loves historic development. She loves cultural development. And I knew economic development had two sides to a coin. the way that we saw traditional economic development, and we had supports built around that. We work with economic development organizations that help us drive that, and I know there's nothing I can put in front of her that she couldn't pick up like that and roll.
Sure.
But the one thing that she had was she had the experience in helping this community feedback to drive culture in communities and help them find their culture, and then take that and then just plant it and watch it bloom. And we needed that here. And since she's hit the ground running, look, I don't try to put any parameters on anybody. She's been doing a great job.
That's a great example of having vision and letting people with natural talent use their gifts.
Yep.
So that takes true leadership. So we applaud your efforts.
And I'll embarrass her for a little bit.
Oh, by all means.
That's okay. So
We can use it. She's up next.
She worked at CenturyLink with John Jones, and she helped build and facilitate the downtown gallery crawls. And she left to go to work for the Office of Cultural Development for Billy Nungesser.
Right.
And I told her, I said, Kelsey, this was right about the time I was thinking about running. I said, there's going to be a day that I said, I hate to see you go, because Monroe is big enough to have a little bit of privacy, but it's small enough that you feel the impact of people's talents when they go, right? And I said, one day I'm going to have you back. And one day you're going to be back here. And so that was,
we're so proud she's back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody loves her. Our new hire, Nirali Patel.
Yep.
She's going to kill it as our Main Street manager. Again, just young people. You need those folks and the vision and the passion that they have and the love for this community, because that's the people. That's what we're trying to tap into, right? Those are the folks that we typically chase,
Sure.
right? Why did you leave? Why did this? Yeah. We can put their perspective into manifestation and say, here are the things that we can do to attract this new workforce, to attract this young talent that we need to stay here and grow.
And if people don't know, you just mentioned Main Street and a new hire. Let's mention that program a little bit.
Yeah.
So Main Street is a nationwide organization.
Yeah.
West Monroe has it for downtown. You all have had it before, but it's really about revitalization, about historic preservation, about fostering entrepreneurship, but also a little bit of storytelling, right?
Yeah, it is. It's
the perfect.
You hit the nail on the head. So
Good answer.
It's a
it
passion.
really is. But we've all said this. We have a story to tell,
Sure.
and I don't know we've told it well enough in the past, but I think what's starting to happen now is you're starting to hear these stories, and we, in a sense, need to control that narrative, and through that being Main Street America. When I think of Main Street America, I think mom and pop shops, right? I think about our cultural districts and our historic districts, and finding ways to ensure investment happens. And it all ties back to this master plan, this downtown master plan, because there are so many incentives tied to revitalizing historic buildings. Sure. There are so many things to sweeten the deal, from new market tax credits to historic tax credits to local incentives that you can encourage and incentivize businesses to start and build there.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So when people sit and say, why downtown? It's because there's no other place within our city that creates these type of incentives for businesses to come and to, in a sense, lower the threshold of what it takes to start here, hire, and to grow their business.
That's awesome.
So last year, in April, about a year ago, you introduced the State of the City video, and In the Water.
Goodness
and
gracious,
you have a shorter version. Every time we show that, the site selectors lead with that. I mean, people start crying, they get emotional. We've got a State of the City coming up again. Can you give us any sneak previews or anything?
Well, that was my apathy pill.
Okay.
Right? That was my recognition of where we were, the pace setter city. Forbes magazine, pace setter city, to where we were when we started office, to, okay, we're going to put faith in you and your administration, and we have high hopes, right? This year will be progress. This year's theme is progress. And we will go out and we will go directly, once again, we don't try to go around anything. We'll go directly at what we're talking about.
Sure.
Because last year's video, when people say, you expect me not to believe my eyes, there's parts in last year's video where they're going across buildings that are now activated once again. pay attention to go down 165 where you're starting to see these old eyesores that are historic eyesores that are coming down. The progress we're making in relationship building with the universities, with our chambers, with our community colleges, with our school systems, with our people in the community, the progress we're making with our employees and the pay raises and new equipment and new vehicles, new branding and new logo, the things that are creating pride in community, pride within the city of Monroe. And again, I'll just go ahead and say, I always said the city needed a revival, and that was the word we gave them. Last year we were talking about it's in the water. There's something in the water. When you talk about how water has this renewing quality, this baptismal quality that's renewal, and so this is it. This year's is revival in progress, and we're very proud of a lot of the things that we're doing. Some things you can't see, right? I can tell you there's a lot of things the city does that's not really sexy, like a $20 million sewer trunk line that runs under 28 homes and is a big economic development impediment. Certification of economic development sites, relationship building. Some of that you can't see when you drive around.
Let me jump in real. I get so excited about this. But I would be remiss if you didn't talk about the Kansas Lane connector, because after the governor came in October, myself along with a few other business people came to you. Yeah. And it was still, 25, 30 years, we're still in the mix of that, but I think you have a good story to tell now.
Yeah, we do, and that would not be without the support from the chamber, business and industry, that came to me and said, Mayor, let's go full court press here. Let's take our two biggest economic development impediments that have been for years, that could be catalytic in economic development. Let's get them off the table. One, Texas Standard for Trunk Line, what I just mentioned, about to be taken care of. Two, Kansas Lane connector and Kansas Lane extension. That started out as a $36, $37 million project, which is now over $180 million because we've kicked it down the line. So take that bucket of money that if we had just taken care of it and put that in your community and imagine using that as match money or whatever else.
Right.
What an impact that could have had to our residents. So the reason why we need to get that off the plate is because it keeps sucking up so much of our time and resources and money that can be driven right back into the community. Right. So we went to the governor. He laid down a gauntlet. We came back within a few days and said, sir, we've got it taken care of. Here's what you asked for. If we look at this year's capital outlay, he's moved the money that we needed to get phase 2. Phase 1 in the spring will connect 165 to Finks Hideaway. Phase 2 will start at Louisiana Baptist Children's Home, and it will go past Cypress Point to connect to Phase 3. Phase 2, we're hoping that will either be December of this year or the 1st of next year to kick off on Phase 2. And Phase 3 will be probably a year and a half. So we're on a 3.5, 4-year timeline for. But so cars will be.
But under shovel now instead of under plane.
Absolutely. Exactly. And so those are things right now that we have taken care of. The big thing now moving forward into following year, keep moving forward with all this and keeping all the balls, plates spinning or balls rolling. But we have, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this, we have a Parks Master Plan that we're getting ready to go out on. Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We also are going to start the master planning portion of the Jack Howard, the Civic Center. I made a commitment to make the Jack Howard Theater the best performance arts theater off the I-20. And we're going to make that happen. We're going to start programming it again. Of course, we've had a couple successful events, but you're about to see some things come through that Jack Howard that we're going to be able to really hang our hat on. It supports our symphony, our ballet, Miss Louisiana, so many community events.
That have far-reaching economic impact.
Yes.
After that.
Right.
Absolutely. And guess what? It's attached to our downtown.
That's right.
And so, yeah.
Well, Mayor, you're going to have to come back. Chris,
That's
I'll
right.
let you
So
kind of wrap us up
thank
here.
you for giving us inspiration. Thank you for giving us a 30,000-foot view of what's happening in the city. And man, thanks for the vision.
Well, look, it's my pleasure to be here. It's my pleasure to serve. I said it's a heck of a day to wake up every day to know that you get to wake up and help people and get to work with folks like yourself that really love this community. We love our people, and we just want to see it succeed, and we're going to make it succeed. But can't do it without everybody behind that camera and that screen. It's up to us as a community to move this city forward, and we can't do it alone. We thank you for your continued prayers and support, and all of you that reach out and say, how can we get plugged in? And it's a blessing.
So this was Ouachita One Table, and we are so proud to have our mayor, Friday Ellis, with us. And I am Chris Kelly from the West Monroe West Ouachita Chamber.
And I'm Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber. Thanks for listening and watching.
You've been listening to Ouachita One Table with Christopher Kelly and Roy Heatherly. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Production in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center.